righty, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Unscripted on the All Sports All Plays Network. Please like and subscribe everything that is All Sports All Plays, including Unscripted, which you can find us again on our Unscripted Facebook page or All Sports All Plays Network on Twitter, Roku, Tiki, Facebook. Every platform we're there in some way, shape, or fashion. My boy, who I've missed for the last week or so, getting his new apartment, becoming an adult, getting a job at a radio station, making things happen. Logan, Babyface Landers, my brother from another mother. How you doing, bro?
Jay, it feels good to be back. It's been a little bit since I've been on. Like you mentioned, I've been moving. That was a very fast process. I began working at a radio station here in Gainesville on Tuesday. Been enjoying it ever since. And yeah, man, like I said, new place, and still trying to get everything hooked up. But I got the mic, and I got some lights I need to put up somewhere. But I came prepared. Don't you worry.
Again, man, hey, I will make it out there. Me and Mel will, and we will have a nice housewarming gift for you. And I know you cannot wait until the young lady moves in there with you, and you guys can just have a ball. What a time to be alive. Okay, folks. Hey, we're just gonna go ahead and jump right into it. A couple of things I want to talk about real quick. First thing is we're gonna get it talked about. We're gonna get out the way. We're not gonna spend a whole lot of time on it. But Logan, I gotta be honest with you, man. Kyrie Irving is just he's an amazing specimen to me. He comes out, endorses anti-Semitic book, says he didn't create the book, he just shared the content. And Silver comes out. They all donate some money to a hate speech organization to prevent hate speech. Kyrie never apologizes, has kind of a smug outlook on it, says he's the beacon of the light. What do you make of Kyrie freaking Irving?
Jay, I don't know how this always seems to happen, but it feels like there's a quota for Mr. Irving. That for about every 3 months or so, he needs to be in the news for all of the wrong reasons, as opposed to his tremendous play on the court, which is unquestioned. And this is just the latest debacle. I remember seeing the other night there was a group of individuals, who were against Kyrie Irving wearing T-shirts. I can't remember the quote that they had exactly on them. Maybe it was like "Stop Anti-Semitic Speech" or something along those lines. But yeah, Kyrie, once again, in the spotlight for all of the wrong reason, as is really the Nets organization, Jay. I mean, they fired Steve Nash the other day. I don't know if they've officially hired him, but it looks like all signs are pointing to them signing Ime Udoka, the former Celtics coach, who we know was suspended this year for relations he had with a female in the office, which he was not allowed to do. And They hire him to go along with the circus, we'll say, that has been Kyrie Irving's tenure, mostly with the Nets, but seemingly the last 5+ years, give or take. And like I said, he shared a book that was condemning all of this stuff. And he said he came out, he said, "I didn't write the book, I just shared it." Well, Jay, that's still sharing anti-Semitic values. It doesn't matter if you wrote it. It doesn't matter if someone else wrote it. It don't matter if I wrote it, you wrote it, our neighbor wrote it. They still wrote it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
the endorsement of it is worse almost as the actual saying of it.
And the thing, too, and I'll wrap things up, Kyrie Irving is very much so an influential figure, like the majority of athletes, let alone the star caliber ones that he is, right? He is a very popular athlete, has his own shoe deal, very well known with a lot of kids, teenagers, young people who are impressionable. Meaning that if they go on Twitter the other day and they saw that book, they said, "Oh, wait, Kyrie Irving likes this book. Maybe I should too." And that, Jay, is how it just keeps spinning and keeps evolving. That negative message that he shared with that book and everything else that he's really been going through.
And again, with great power comes great responsibility. You look at Kanye West, same thing. He has anti-Semitic speech, and things of that nature. He goes on Pierce Brosnan is undisputed and continues to talk more of that rhetoric. And the thing about it is, as soon as Kanye said what he said with his anti-Semitism, then we start seeing in the streets of Jacksonville on the freeway signs coming down supporting it. We see white supremacist groups coming out of the woodworks talking. The point is, how do you ever truly end racism or hate speech when guys of that level of power, the Kyrie Irvings, the Kanye West, are out there saying these things, and all that's doing is perpetuating the next cycle of racist people to come into the world. So we got to remember, hey, look, it's more than just what you're saying. It's the people that emulate you that are going to follow you and do what you're talking about. So keep that in mind. We're going to roll on, but I just wanted to kind of talk about that. We got to get better at this world. Daniel Snyder, oh my God, him and Tanya now are going to sell that team, but they may keep him a minority stake. I don't think he fully outright gets rid of everything, but I do think he gets rid of the majority of it. As you know, his wife Tanya is co-owner of that. They should fetch probably $3 to $4, maybe even $5 billion for that franchise. We know, I believe that the Denver Broncos went for somewhere around $4 billion. So I think the Redskins go somewhere between $4 to $5 billion. You know, it's bad when Jim Irsay comes out publicly and says it's time for this guy to go. When Jim Irsay's telling you got to go, that's something.
And Jay, Jim Irsay is no saint either. He has skeletons in his closet.
Now, it takes 24 of the 32 NFL owners to approve the next person to buy the Commanders. Bank of America has been hired by the Snyder family to basically facilitate the sale of the Commanders. I wonder, I know Bezos and Jay-Z were one of the groups that are talking about buying them. I think whoever buys them should do a better job than what Daniel Snyder has done, because we know exactly where the Commanders are currently in the standings. Would you agree?
Yeah, and Jay, not even talking about on the field play in recent seasons. I mean, there's really been nothing to speak of in the last handful of years. We know they had that run in 20, right, when they went up against the Buccaneers, but since that, they haven't done a whole lot. Like you said, right now, fourth in the East right now. They just, I don't know, they can't get nothing going on the field. But this is strictly off the field, I would say. And I think if you took a poll of 100 sports podcasters, Jay, and if you ask them which organization is the worst ran in the National Football League, I can probably guarantee you a good 75 to 80% would say the Washington Commanders. There is so much to speak of with this franchise. We could do a whole show on it, honestly, with all the accusations, with all the proven stuff that has happened in Daniel Snyder's tenure as the owner there. And I'm glad he's selling the team. I mean, what was it? The financial stuff that came out earlier this year, we were all calling for him to sell the team. Then he came out right after saying, you know, I've got dirt on a lot of these owners here that I will release if they let go of me. So I'm curious to see how that's going to go, Jay, because once he gets booted,
too, man.
He is going to sell the team. I'm curious to see if he is going to say anything about the other owners who we might know about. We also might not know about. But yeah, I wholeheartedly agree that Washington needs a whole new regime, not just the owner, but the GM. Just clean house, right? Start fresh. And just hope you can rebuild this organization to. I mean, Jay, this is a historic franchise. I mean, back when they were known as the Redskins, they were a powerhouse, and they were a good organization, well run, and things have just really fell off the train tracks in the last probably 10 or so years, 10, 15 years.
I would say last 15.
Yeah.
Last 15
it is just nothing has gone right for them, and sometimes a change is needed, and this is well overdue.
Yeah, I agree with you. Again, I think the only other franchise that was struggling, but I think they're starting to right the ship now, unfortunately, was your Raiders organization with all the things they went through. But I think that organization cleaned their house, brought in new people. The only thing I think, Logan, and we'll get into this in a minute, is Josh McDaniels. I think that's the only questionable issue with the Raiders. But the rest of the thing looks pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
Like
I
you
said,
know what
we'll
I'm
talk about it
saying.
more in just a second.
But yeah, we'll get more
to
of that here in a
in
second. The last thing I want to kind of talk to, again, you kind of touched on it already, is the hire of Udoka. As you know, the Celtics require nothing in terms of draft compensation for him. I think they just want to get him out the door and move on to Missoula and then carry forward. I think they're just ready to get this out of their life at this point. I think the letting go of Nash was perfect. We knew Nash wasn't the answer. It was just going to be another painful year watching him try. And I think Nash knew that to the point where he went to the leadership group and said, hey, I don't think I'm the right guy here. They said, yeah, we don't either. Let's just amicably part our ways. And we're going to go try to grab this guy Udoka over there because what he did with the Celtics, we need to bring over to our culture and revamp our culture. And I think Udoka is the right guy to do that. Now, remember, Udoka in 2020 to 2021 season was the assistant under Steve Nash. So he has a little bit of familiarity with what he's coming into. So you know he's not coming into this blind. He's already kind of familiar with this. But I think what he's going to give the Nets is something they desperately, desperately need, and that's a leader. They need a leader at somewhere in this organization. And I think Udoka is going to be the guy that will change the culture, give them the leadership, pull them together, bring the synergy, bring a Kyrie Irving off the ledge, bring in a Kevin Durant, and put these guys back together. And I think he's going to be impactful with what to do with Simmons and maybe even how to use Simmons. We know that he gets the most out of his team. And again, I think he's going to tighten up a team that was ranked 29th in defense, for crying out loud. So again, at this point, I think we're looking at a guy that's going to bring this team back around. It's not going to happen overnight, but I believe this is the guy that's going to get this ship righted. What do you think? Are you on that same level?
So talking about Steve Nash real quick, I'm with you. I don't think he was the correct fit for this team, but I feel that with the Irving situation and everything else kind of going on with the Nets right now, he was kind of a scapegoat. They had to do something, and he was on the number one on that chopping block. Meanwhile, the Ime Udoka situation, I'll talk about it once again, I feel like if this happened at the beginning of the 23 season, Jay, I wouldn't really be, just be another hire. But the fact is, he was suspended about, a month and a half, 2 months ago?
Yeah.
For inappropriate workplace relations.
It was about 2 months ago. It was right. Yeah. It was right before training camp.
And this just adds to just the Nets and the media circus that goes on with it, Jay. I mean, my God, Ime is going to get questioned about this every single day. You know he is.
Oh, he's going to answer a lot.
He is going to be on a leash. He is not going to be going anywhere except for practice, to the games, and then back to the hotel. He is not going anywhere. That has to be in the contract if I was to hire him. But yeah, I think Ime is a good coach. Obviously he did well with the Celtics with our boy Pride, and I like his coaching style. But talking about Ben Simmons, Jay, I'm kind of worried because if Steve Nash, one of the top point guards of all time, right, a tremendous two-time MVP, all the awards, accolades, if he couldn't do nothing with them, who can? Yeah. I don't know. I understand Simmons, he's going to be out for a few games. But on the season so far, only averaging 6 points, shooting about 44%. Once again, no three-pointers, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. But, Jay, he is a starting – I don't understand it. I don't know what went wrong with this guy.
Absolutely. It's ridiculous. My mind often wanders in the hiring process of Udoka. If the first question is, Mr. E, please do not hit on any employee that works for this organization. I don't care if you date somebody from the Sixers, if you date somebody from the Knicks. Just leave the Nets alone. You got to imagine that must have been in there. What's up, Big Shot Rob? How you doing, brother?
Jay, what's going on, man? I'm just here chilling at work, man. Get ready for Game 5 of the World Series, man. Looking forward to this game tonight, man. It's the swing game. Normally, the team that wins, I think, Game 5. I don't know what the percentage of the team winning the World Series, but whoever wins tonight goes up 3-2. with the other team facing elimination. I think it's more, to me, I would say it's more urgent for the Phillies to win tonight, since it's going back to Houston. I think if Houston wins tonight, series might be over. If I think in Game 6.
We're about to get into that. One thing I wanted to say real quick, we know John McVay, grandfather of Sean McVay, passed away. We know John McVay was the big architect over there in the 49ers dynasty and what he did for them. And obviously he passed away, so we want to give our condolences here to Mr. Sean McVay and the McVay family for the passing of their grandfather. Moving on real quick. The last thing I want to kind of talk about real quick, and then we're gonna get into the show. Ex-Chiefs assistant Britt Reed, son of Andy Reid, was sentenced 3 years for that car crash that he had while he was drinking and driving that injured 5 people. One of them 5 being Ariel Young, the 5-year-old that suffered big-time TBI, traumatic brain injury, to the point where she's basically having to relearn how to do pretty much a lot of different things in her life, and she won't ever be completely right. That's one of the downsides to TBIs. You don't ever fully 100% recover. And the parents have a very legitimate gripe and complaint where Britt Reed asked for probation instead of the 3 years, and the parents are like, "Are you serious? How can you take responsibility and then be utterly disrespectful and the lack of responsibility and asking for probation?" To them, that was a big time slap in the face from Britt Reed to the victims' families and whatnot. That he was driving 84 miles an hour in a 65-mile-an-hour zone on February 4th, 2021, with a blood alcohol content of 0.113, legal is 0.08. So he's well over the legal limit. And the biggest thing was, and what's hard for me is he graduated from a drug treatment program in 2009, and he has had a series of stints running from the law, a series of events having issues with the law. We know, but so he's got a big time prior history, even before this DUI. Man, what a shame. I mean, Rogan, real quick, what's your thoughts on that? And then big shot, and then we'll get into the program.
Yeah, obviously hate this for Andy Reid, a tremendous coach and everything, for his son go to jail for all this. But talking about what he did, I mean, I remember I think we were on air, we covered it right when it happened, and we all agreed, he needs to go to jail for what he's done. And I mean, Jay, I don't understand, Jay, how with the abundance of Ubers, taxis, how can anyone still get involved in DUIs?
Right.
I do not understand it. I really can't. I can't wrap my head around it. How you can literally, in under a minute, call someone to come and pick you up for $20, $50, whatever, but you just want to decide to get your car knowing that you have had too much to drink and you could potentially hurt someone like he did. So,
yeah, absolutely. And big shot, Rob, to Logan's point, this guy's had numerous stints with this. I mean, at what point, originally the maximum was, I believe, 8 years, and they gave him 3. Like, isn't that a slap in the face from the court system to the families, much less him asking for probation?
Yeah, man. I mean, from 19 years to 3 years, I mean, that's.
It was 8 years to 3 years.
Oh, 8 years to 3 years. So yeah. He's lucky. He's lucky to get that. I mean, this guy.
I mean, you give 3 years to somebody who had maybe first offense. This guy's had multiple.
Right.
Yeah, he's had multiple. Yeah, he's lucky to get 3 years instead of 8 years for sure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the topic at hand. We're going to cover 3 things tonight. We're going to get out of here. It's going to be World Series, NFL, and college. We're going to just touch on the highlights of all 3. Let's get into the Astros. And what we know about the Astros is this. They're coming off a no-hitter, baby! And it's the same freaking crew in the combined no-hitter, with the exception of the addition of Abreu, which, by the way, struck out the side. What an addition he was to it. But this is the same crew that gave the combined no-no to the New York Yankees. This is their second no-no, baby. The Phillies have had 2 no-nos this season. Well, guess what, Phillies? you just got no-no'd by the Astros. We all know that Javier went 6 innings, 9 strikeouts, the most by any pitcher in the World Series to do as such. We know, like I said, Abreu struck out the side when he came in. They retired 18 batters, and out of the 18 batters, the last 18 batters, 11 of them struck out. 11. The only 2 that got on base was 2 walks that Javier had given up in the beginning, but that was it. So again, very, very impressive. This is history in the making, guys. Number one, this is the first combined no-hitter in World Series history, and this is the second no-no in World Series series that's over 100 years. The last one was in 1956, I believe, by the Mets. So just take that into consideration. What a time to be alive, guys. What did y'all think about the no-hitter? And then we're going to talk a little bit about Game 5 and what it means going back to Houston. Logan, and then Rob.
Yeah, just to touch on the game the other night, literal history, obviously, with a combined no-hitter, an impressive feat on the road nonetheless, too, Jay. Let's not forget that. You didn't have your home fans supporting you. You were in the ruckus, the rough Philadelphia, Pennsylvania backyard, and they were loud all night. I sent you guys a photo of the Wawa convenience store, I believe they are, located in Philadelphia, founded there. They had a little photo that said, "Take a bite of your sandwich every time the Phillies get a hit tonight." And, no one had a sandwich that night, apparently. They went hungry. So, as for the Phillies, I do not expect them to get no hit again. Jay, unfortunately for you, I expect them to get some hits tonight. Verlander, though, is curious. I mean, I don't know which one we're going to get, Jay. He hasn't been.
Hold on, we're not there yet, Logan. Now we're talking Game 3. Hold on.
Recap.
Just stick with the no-no for right now. And by the way, in that no-no, how good did the Astros look hit? I mean, honestly, we just look phenomenal. Phenomenal. Big Scott, Rob. My question for you is, Javier, when he throws his fastball and when he throws his changeup, has the same release point. The only difference is one will dip as it gets closer and the other one will ride. And that's what screws over most hitters when trying to hit Christian Javier, is they don't know if it's a changeup or the strikeout because, again, they had the same release point. What did you think of Javier's performance, and what did you think of the no-no in general?
Yeah, I thought Javier's performance was excellent. I was definitely impressed by the combined no-hitter, something that's only been done in World Series history, second time. And it's going to be interesting to see how the Phillies respond tonight after that happening. You know, I don't want to get into Game 5 yet because I know we're still talking about the no-hitter. But, man, to do that on the road, man, you know, your backs are against the wall.
On the world's biggest stage,
on the world's biggest stage against the Phillies, who were just coming off a big home run game where they hit 5 home runs in that game. It was pretty impressive to me, and it made a big statement for the Astros. But you know, I want to see what kind of Astros team comes out tonight after that no hitter, because they got to forget about that game tonight and worry about tonight's game, because tonight's game is probably bigger than last night's game because they have a chance to go up 3-2, going back to Houston to finish them. But if they don't win this game tonight, then the Phillies are going to be up 3-2
going to Houston. That game tonight. Don't you put no if they don't do anything, because we ain't putting the bad juju out here. By the way, Sean Shaver, you're right. I think the proper term is no-node. I may have said no-nos, but you know what? At the end of the day, it's still a no-no, so we don't care. But let's go on ahead and get into this Game 5. I know that's what everybody really wants to talk about. We are literally at 8:03 at 7:30, so we're about 45 minutes away from first pitch. Real quick, we know that last night's loss was the first loss that the Phillies have took in this postseason, and they took it at the helms of us. We know Verlander he got the loss in Game 1 against Nola. We know that, he gave up 5 hits or 5 runs, things of that nature. We know that he hasn't won at all, and I think he's 0 for 6. It's interesting that they are bringing out Syndergaard to go against Verlander versus having Wheeler come out, especially when you got Framber Valdez, back in the wings waiting in game 6. So what did you guys – honestly, if I look at Verlander – I understand he's had a bad streak, but I also believe streaks are meant to be broken. And I think the Astros are coming off that momentum of last night and the gravity in which it carried. And I think that's going to motivate Verlander to come out and produce results. I think Verlander breaks that 0-for-6 tonight, and we get the 3-2 going back to Houston. But again, this game is important. And Logan, I think this game is important because I think if Phillies go back 3-2, they only got to take one out of Houston. And but again, that one is going to be hard when you got Framber Valdez, Game 6. And I think we get Javier on short rest. I think Javier comes back in Game 7. But again, if they don't get this game and Astros pull out Game 3, and then you got Framber in Game 6, you might as well just go on ahead and write your check because this game is over. And Logan, we know two things. Number one, this Philly crowd is huge. And we know two things is that the Philadelphia Phillies starting lineup feeds off of momentum. And if they get off early and get scores early, then that will help their cause. If they come out flat and the Astros jump early and takes the crowd out of it, then it's going to be a very long game for this Philadelphia Phillies. But what are your thoughts, Logan? Game 5.
Honestly, I'll go on a limb here. I will say that whoever's batting leadoff tonight for the Phillies, they'll get a hit. First at bat, just break that right there. Plus, I will say they have the uniform advantage tonight. Jay, I hate to say it, they got the powder blue unis on tonight, the nice ones from the 80s, so they do have you beat there. However, in the pitching matchup, like you mentioned, you do have Verlander versus Syndergaard, obviously two great pitchers, and I think the Phillies ended up going with Syndergaard as opposed to Wheeler just because they do still have a few games to play with, right? This isn't an elimination game. They still can lose this one and still be in it, but they don't want to throw their ace out there unless it's absolutely necessary, which is why they got Wheeler going in the next game. But like you mentioned, you brought up a good point. This Philly team feeds off the momentum of the home crowd. If they come out the gates firing like they do sometimes, it's going to be a good day. And if they come out flat like they did, obviously, in the last game, it could be a long day at the office. So I would think that the key for success for the Phillies tonight, jump out on Verlander early, get him out by, I would say, the third, fourth inning, and then go ahead and get into that bullpen. Jay, I know you love that bullpen, but you don't want to tax them before the next game or two. And that way, they might run out of steam. As for the Astros, like I said, if you can do what you did the other night, perfect. It's going to be hard to do that, but obviously keep the bats rolling, have some good pitching like you always do, and just do what you do. I mean, there's nothing really the Astros need to build off of because they've looked good, especially that last game. But if I'm the Phillies, come out hot, come out firing.
I totally agree with you to the point, Big Shot Rob. If Astros Verlander comes out hot and he's on point, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, and the Astros batting is doing what they're supposed to be doing, could you imagine a scenario where we go back to Houston and we still got two guys in our bullpen that the Philadelphia Phillies have never seen pitch, one being Stanek and the other one being Hector Neris, and both have an extremely low ERA in relief pitching. And these guys, the Phillies have never seen. So I think Dusty at some point is going to bring them out, and I think they're going to keep Bryce Harper at bay. But I need Verlander to do what Verlander does, and I think you agree. If he does that, then, we're looking pretty damn good going back to Houston. But what is your thought process of Game 5?
Rob, you're muted.
Yeah, I think both teams just really have to just clear their mind, forget about the last couple games. Obviously, Philly had that big win in Game 3 with the 5 home runs, and they came out hitting the ball well. I don't understand in that game what Dusty Baker was thinking. He kept Lance McCullers way too long in that game. I mean, after the Phillies got like the first 2 or 3 runs, I'm saying to myself I agree. He needs to take McCullers out. I mean, it should have never got to that point. And then I'm looking in game Game 4. Nola was out there too long too for the Phillies, so and then he got taken out. But I think both teams just really have to clear their mind.
How crazy was it when he got taken out and they brought Alvarado in and bases were loaded, and the very first pitch out of his hand hit Alvarez in the damn elbow. First pitch.
Yeah.
walked in the
Yeah, that was
first run,
crazy.
and then from there, it carried into 5 runs. But what if he did leave Nola in? Do you think he could have got out of it? Or was he just doomed in that point? And if so, was Alvarado the right guy to bring in?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, the bases were loaded. I mean, I would have taken Nola out of there. Maybe they just put the wrong guy in. But that's the decisions these managers have to make, and sometimes it's tough. You never know. But I mean, if you see a guy giving up 3 runs, and the bases are and they're at bat and they're hitting the ball well, then I mean, you have to obviously consider taking that pitcher out the game. You can't leave him in just because he's your ace or your top guy. You got to consider what could happen. You don't want to. It's better to be down 2-0 than 5-0. So you want to give yourself the best chance to win. And I would just say, like for this game tonight, I think both teams just have to clear their heads and just forget about the last couple of games. Because obviously Philadelphia played very well in Game 3, hitting the ball with the homers, and we know what Houston did yesterday with the no-hitter. You can't go back and think about that stuff. This is a fresh game tonight. This is Game 5. This is the swing game of the series. This is probably the most important game of the series. If you're the Astros, you win Game 5 tonight, you're going home to Game 6. You're going to have your crowd and everything behind you, expecting to win the World Series. If you lose tonight, then you're going home for an elimination game. Not to say the Astros can't win an elimination game. They're in Houston. They have all the experience in the world, but then Philly would have had the momentum going to Houston, and considering they already won one game there, which was Game 1. They would think they would have a good chance to win another game, and if they get the momentum going, they would be riding that momentum into Houston and try to get Game 6.
I definitely agree with you. And here's the deal. Yeah. So first of all, Freddie Henderson, my boy, what is up? We are doing well. What is your prediction, Freddie? Freddie, give me your prediction for tonight, man. Are the Astros going to take it, or do you have Philly taking it? And by the way, gents, I think this is the first time ever, unless I'm wrong, and Freddie and everybody else is out there, you can fact check me on this. But it's interesting that the Eagles and the Phillies are both playing Houston on the same damn night.
I was just about to say that too. That's crazy.
That's got to be.
Imagine if that would have been in Philly tonight too.
Oh,
in Houston.
Eagles and Texans in Houston won both games. Oh my Lanta, would that be amazing? I don't fully expect that to happen, but I'm going, never thought about that, Jay. Yeah, exactly. And hey, I'm glad he's going from the Astros. Let's go, Texas. Thank God, Freddie. For a minute there, I thought you were going to say the Rams. No, I'm teasing with you, Freddie. I love you. You know that. But no, man. Hey, look, guys. Here's the deal, man. I agree. I totally agree with you. The fact that, by the way, real quick, if I can, another interesting fact, Nola was in both no-hitters. No, Nola was in this no-hitter, and I think there was one other no-hitter that Nola was involved in. I'm going to have to research that. Look at Nola. I think he was involved in 2 no-hitters this season. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Again, if Philly wins tonight, let's think about this a minute. If Philly wins tonight, they go back to Houston 3-2, like you said. You're going to have to face Framber Valdez. We know what Framber Valdez does. So I'm not really worried about Wheeler because I'm pretty sure I believe it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Framber Valdez go against Wheeler in Game 2 already? And didn't he beat him that time too? So I'm not really worried about Wheeler so much. I think if he lost tonight, then we got him, and I think we tie it back up, and then we go Game 7. The interesting thing is who goes in Game 7? It's probably going to be, like I said, in my opinion, Javier for Houston. And I think he goes on about 3 or 4 days rest at that point because we got the travel day as well. So in that point, who do the Phillies go with? I'm assuming that maybe they go with Suarez on short rest. Would y'all agree?
Yeah, I could see it. I could see Suarez being up there because, like I said, I would think that if Philly loses this game, they got to throw Wheeler out there for 6. You have to, or else, if I was a manager,
think about this, Logan. Think about this now. Now, hold on now. You know that Thompson has absolutely no trust whatsoever in his bullpen. And you know that because 9 times out of 10, when it came to closing out games, who did he have close out the game? Suarez. But here's the problem. Suarez just pitched. So he's on short rest right now. So he won't be available tonight. Number one. So that means there's no game one starter that can save you in this. Number two, he won't be available against when Fromber pitches, because he's probably gonna if they do it, then he would pitch, game 7. Unless Thompson does what the Braves did, and you go straight bullpen game 7. But then again, does he have the bullpen?
I don't know if he has the trust. I don't know if he's got the trust in his bullpen. So, I mean, the Phillies bullpen from this year and the Braves bullpen from last year are way, way opposite.
Oh, absolutely.
So I don't know if I do that.
I think you guys agree that if and Big Shot, I think you maybe agree. Let me know what you think. I think if Phillies win, which they better not, but if they win the series, I think Bryce Harper gets the MVP. I think if the Astros win the series, I think Pena has got to have a pretty strong case for MVP, given the fact that every single game in the World Series, he's either had multi-hits or a hit. He has not been 0 for anything in the World Series. And he's also played very good on the defensive end. So how crazy would it be, Logan, if Pena walks away with the World Series MVP in his rookie freaking season? Oh, by the way, he also got the freaking Gold Gloves at shortstop.
All I'm gonna say that, Jay, is if I'm Carlos Correa, I'm hiring someone to help patch up some holes in my walls at home.
Hey, I'm just saying. Big shot, Rob. At some point, Pena, for the low amount of money that they're paying him currently, now his salary will obviously skyrocket. But how smart was it for the Astros to let go of Correa, bring in Pena, get him at a fractional of the cost, and the guy's probably outperforming Correa, his predecessor.
Yeah, it was a great move, I must say. I mean, the Astros are right back where they want to be. I mean, they won the ALCS pennant. They're in the World Series. They're 2 games away from winning the World Series. Jeremy Payne has been doing his thing. Great shortstop, Gold Glove. Shortstop, he's been hitting the ball great in the World Series and throughout the playoffs. So it's a pretty big move, and it's kind of a shot in the face to Carlos Correa.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe it is as well. All right, we're about 38 minutes in. We're going to jump over to NFL, talk a little bit of NFL, and then we'll jump into some college, and then we'll get up on out of here and go enjoy the World Series. Question. My first question is this. How much do you think this takes away from the NFL revenue tonight, given that you got a terrible, terrible game of Houston and the Eagles going against the World Series? I mean, honestly.
I know the numbers have been really good for
Eagles
Amazon, but this one, ain't no one in Philly going to be watching this one. Let's be real here.
No.
Nobody in general going to watch that game.
No. I mean, my God, if the Texans upset this one, then, hey, I mean, no one's going to be able to see it. It's like if a tree falls in the woods, no one sees it, you know what I mean? But, yeah, I mean, everyone's going to be watching the World Series. Let's be real here.
Yeah.
My second question, and this is for each of you. Well, actually, Rob, I'm going to let you take the winner side of it. No, actually, no. I apologize, Rob. I know you wanted to comment on the Eagles game. Go ahead and comment on that. I apologize for cutting you off.
Yeah, the only way somebody would be watching this Eagles game tonight is if they were playing the Dallas Cowboys. And an NFL wouldn't be stupid enough to put
let's go ahead. Yeah. I don't even know why I let Rob talk. You sound like Damien right now.
My bad, man. My bad. All right. They wouldn't put the Cowboys against the Eagles on a night when the Phillies are playing in the World Series, man. They wouldn't dare do that.
Hey, listen, if they did that, I'd be so pissed. I'd be so mad.
Yeah.
Question. Rob, you're going to get the winner. Logan, you're going to get the loser. Who do you have losing the trade deadline? Like, what team lost? Because if you're asking me who it is, it's Green Bay. Why? Because they didn't draft a damn wide receiver. And what the hell do they need right now? A wide receiver, my opinion. Again, Logan, you got the loser. Who for you lost at the trade deadline?
Man, I'm going to have to go with you, Jay. I think the Packers got to be up there. Also, just Brandon Cooks in general, that poor soul stuck there in Houston. We know he's been wanting to get gone forever. But, yeah, I really think that the Packers, out of the majority of these teams, they were the ones that should have done something that did not do a single thing. So I'm with you, Jay. I got to agree. The Packers definite losers of the trade deadline because they traded for not a soul.
Yeah, it just makes no sense to the point where even Aaron Rodgers is just like, well, I guess we got to win with what we got. And what you got is Bupkis. But anyway, good times. Winner of the trade deadline, Big Shot Rob. Who was the winner in your opinion? And let me tell you something. There's a couple of teams out there. I think the Ravens were a good winner. I think the Eagles were a good winner. And the defensive guys that they took away from Chicago. And I think Miami was a good winner and getting Bradley Chubb on defense away from Denver. So I got all three of those guys as my winner. But who's your winner?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. I like all three teams as well. I like what my team did in getting Bradley Chubb. We got rid of Chase Edmonds, who was kind of struggling there as our running back. So we got a better back from San Francisco, Jeff Wilson. Now that Christian McCaffrey's there, Christian McCaffrey's kind of taken over that role. So Jeff Wilson is a good fit for the Dolphins, I believe. He was in Mike McDaniel's system there in San Francisco, and I think he'll be a good tandem with him and Rashad Mostert. I think that they'll be a good tandem. Obviously, Bradley Chubb was the big one because we needed that pass rusher definitely to come after Josh Allen because we all know that's the reason the Dolphins got Bradley Chubb is when you play the team like the Bills, you need that pass rusher coming after Josh Allen. And then, I like what the Minnesota Vikings did. They traded away T.J. Hawkinson. They lost Irv Smith for like 8 to 10 weeks. And immediately they filled the tight end position right away. And Hawkinson is obviously a better tight end than Irv Smith. And you got a guy, the Lions, I just don't understand what they're doing. I mean, you're trading your tight end in the division. It's like if you're going to get rid of that guy, trade him out of the division or the conference, And obviously what the Ravens did, I like what the Ravens did a lot. They get another defensive player, Raekwon Smith, who can rush the passer and definitely help that Ravens defense a lot. They obviously been struggling a lot this year in the secondary, and I think Raekwon Smith is a good move. I also think the Bears did a good thing too by getting Chase Claypool from the Steelers. I think that's going to help that offense a lot. You put Claypool, you give him a weapon for Justin Fields, and then you also have Darnell Mooney there added in with the two running backs. You have David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert. Yes, they did lose Raekwon Smith, but I think their defense is still pretty good. But the Bears really need to focus more on the offensive side. I mean, the Bears have always been known as this defensive team. Now with Justin Fields, the way he can run and make plays, you need to make them more of an offensive team. So I think that was a good move to get Chase Claypool. Hopefully he'll work out for them. It wasn't looking that good in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh now just has George Pickens and Deontay Johnson will be the 1 and 2 there. But, I'm interested to see how these moves work out. There's a lot of movement for the trade deadline. And, I'm excited to see how a lot of these guys work out in their new places.
Yeah, my thing is, all thing with the Bears is they would have been a winner at the trade deadline had they fired their offensive coordinator and brought in a new one. Lord sweet Jesus, do they need a new offensive coordinator? Damien says a whole list of teams that were losers. My question is, who is your surprise team? Right now we're in week 9. What team in up to week 9? What team has surprised you the most?
Ooh.
Damn.
For me, I gotta go with the Seahawks. 5-3 without Russ. Who would have thought that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I had was the Seahawks. I mean, Geno freaking Smith, isn't this the guy that we wrote off into the Valley of Death after he left the New York Jets? And then he reemerges some decade, whatever later with the Seahawks, and now he's number 1 in the damn division? What the hell? What a time to be alive.
Gonzo.
Welcome, Gonzo, to the show. What's up, my brother?
I just got home from the calling hours from my buddy, but saw you guys still on, so I figured I'd jump on with you guys.
Yeah, man. Hey, we got a couple of things we're talking about real quick. By the way, if I do accept your bet of $50 that the Astros win tonight, I'll give you my cash app later, and we'll figure that out. Real quick, Gonzo, can the Eagles hold off the Vikings for the top spot in the NFC come playoff time?
I don't know. I think it's going to be a real good game. I know the first time they played early in the season, the Eagles put it on them pretty good. I think that was like week 2, if I remember correctly. Yeah. I think the the Vikings are playing a lot better football now, and with adding Hawkinson there to get another weapon after Irv Smith got hurt. I think the Vikings have a good shot of maybe getting representing the NFC this season. The Eagles are going to be tough to get by, but the problem is with both those quarterbacks. I don't know if you can trust them in them big moments. Kirk Cousins hasn't really showed that, and Hurts is a younger guy, and we haven't got to see him in them kind of moments yet. So that'd be my only questions about both teams: is how is the quarterback going to perform when you get in them high pressure moments, and is Kirk Cousins finally going to be able to win a primetime game?
Yeah, absolutely. And Big Shot, just to piggyback off of Chris, AJ Brown. We know he had a huge game last week. I think he scored 3 touchdowns. He had over 100-something yards, whatever. Right after the game, he was randomly drug tested to see if he had any illegal substances in his body.
Randomly.
Hey, I'm just saying. Hey, what do you make of that? Is it quote unquote random? Because I'll tell you, if you ask AJ Brown, he don't think it random. He think it's more selective. What is your thought process on them testing Brown after his big game? And why not test other people after their big game? Why not go test Henry when he put up 219 damn yards rushing? Why do you think they singled out Brown after his big game to do a random drug test?
Yeah, I have no idea. I can't figure that out. I mean, there's so many guys in the league that have big game. Why don't you just drug test everybody after a big game? You know, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, the guy had a big game. It doesn't mean he's always going to have a big game every week. I mean, they got Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith could have a big game tonight against the Texans. You never know. If he goes off for maybe 5 or 6 big games in a row or something like that, where he's getting over 100 yards and 3 touchdowns every game in the next 3 or 4 weeks, then maybe you might think something is up. But I mean, he had one good game tonight. I think somebody else tonight for Philly is going to step up. It could be Miles Sanders, could be Dallas Goedert, could be Devontae Smith. I mean, who knows? I mean, Jalen Hurts could run the ball. He could just run all over the Texans defense. I mean, anything's possible.
Absolutely. Real quick, breaking news. The Nets have suspended Kyrie Irving. No timetable, but he has been suspended by the Nets. Interesting.
I think the NBA probably had something to do with that.
You think? Because that's exactly what I'm thinking too.
That came from Adam Silver.
Yep.
Adam Schefter put that out. But again, I would not be surprised if that came straight out of Silver's mouth. It looks like it's going to be
no less than 5 games. That's what I'm saying.
Because they were just talking about that today on Pardon the Interruption. And I know Wilbon is one. Kornheiser, I believe that's the other guy. Yep. He's Jewish. So, he had a lot to say about, Kyrie Irving and whatnot. So, yeah. It was
the commissioner had came out and said he was disappointed that Kyrie didn't apologize and that his comments was reckless and stuff. So, I figured the NBA was going to put pressure on the Nets to suspend them or to do some kind of disciplinary action.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. We know that, again, the Pack should get back on track over the Lions. I say should because we know the Pack lost to the damn Commanders. So I say should with a very shaky voice. Ross, does the Jags beat the Raiders this week? We know the Raiders have been on extremely shaky ground. Do the Jags
be careful
get
with
the
this
win
answer,
over
Robert?
the Raiders?
Yeah, that's a very, very tough game. I think the Jaguars lost.
I got a follow-on question, Rob. Follow-on question. Number one, do the Jags get the win over the Raiders? And number two, if they do get the win on the Raiders, how much longer will the Raiders go before McDaniels is fired?
Yeah. And the the Jaguars just lost to the Broncos last week. I know the Raiders got shut out by the Saints. Man, I'm gonna go ahead. I think the Raiders' season is on the line this week against Jacksonville, and I'm gonna go ahead and pick them to win this game because they came off a really, really bad loss against New Orleans. I mean, didn't even score any points, 24-0. I know the Jaguars are a very good team. Trevor Lawrence has been playing great. Travis Etienne has been playing great. Christian Kirk, to me, he's not a wide receiver one like I thought he was going to be. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take the Raiders this week against the Jags. They pull out a very narrow win, and I think McDaniels will hold on to his job one more week, and then we'll see what happens after that because. Man, it can't get any worse in Vegas.
Absolutely. This man's hanging on by some dental floss, not even a shoestring. That's too thick.
Hey, let me say real quick. Anytime the Phillies come out with the old Mike Schmidt outer blue throwbacks, that's a sign of desperation. That already tells me that they're in trouble. Real quick.
That's a good look, Joe.
Logan.
That's a good look.
Hey, listen, guys. I'm going to give you 3 because we got to get into college real quick. And we're going to wrap it up with college. I'm going to give you a game. And all I want you to do is give me the winner. Logan, you know that Breece Hall is out. They brought Robinson in. He's going to be teamed up with Carter. I know this is an obvious one. I'm really asking this more for upset reasons. Bills, Jets, who you got?
Easy W, get me the Bills.
Now, Logan, Big Shot Rob, you're going to get the next harder one. Bucks, Rams.
Mm-hmm.
Bucks, Rams. Both teams suck ass right now. Who do you got?
But I'm gonna go with the Bucks because they're at home, and I think it's they're still thinking about that NFC Championship game from last year or the divisional game from last year. And I think Brady, now that he's divorced, I think he'll have his mind more focused. I'll go ahead and I'll take the Bucks at home.
All right, Chris.
Wait a minute, I have a question. You said you were giving him the hard question, so are you insinuating that I'm dumb?
That was a hard question.
I'm insinuating that you're hey. I don't know how to
mess with Jay.
Those are 2 quality playoff teams from last year that are struggling.
No, it was a hard question. I was just messing with Jay.
Go ahead, Jay. What's your last game?
No, now I feel like a dick. Gonzo, I'm gonna give you a super hard question.
Okay.
Hey, listen, it's Monday night. We haven't had a good Monday or Thursday night game, and I can't remember how long. They're putting the Rams against the Saints. I kind of like it. I kind of like Rams against the Saints.
Ravens.
Who do you got?
Ravens, Saints.
Who do you got? Rams, Ravens. I know I'm saying Rams. Ravens is what I meant to say. Ravens and Saints. Who do you have?
I got the Ravens because for some reason the Saints are still starting the Red Rifle instead of going back to Winston with him being healthy. And
I don't get that either.
I don't think the Saints will be able to score enough points to keep up with that with Baltimore.
And by the way, they have no idea how long Thomas. They have no idea how long Thomas is going to be out.
Thomas is out for the year.
Thomas is out for the year, and I like Roquan Smith. The addition of Roquan Smith to that defense.
Yo, I like the addition of Roquan Smith to that defense too, because he's a pretty amazing guy. The last time they had a guy of his caliber was a Suggs, and then of course beyond that was Ray, the great himself, Ray Lewis. So it's good to see that they get somebody. So
I was just thinking of a team that Odell Beckham Jr. could go to. Since the Ravens just lost Rashad Bateman for the year, why doesn't Odell consider going to Baltimore?
Odell goes there. He's going to be screwed. Come on.
Hey, how come the Packers ain't signed him, for God's sake?
I know. What are they thinking, man?
Where are the Packers?
I think if Odell goes anywhere, it's got to be
right here.
I think the Packers are tanking. I think they're tanking. Aaron Rodgers going to retire. They know Jordan Love ain't the guy, so I think they're tanking.
Yeah, that's true. We talked about that on Africa ago about that. I agree. They are kind of going on that road.
They ain't doing nothing.
Dallas, don't look past Dallas. Hey, Stephen Jones has hinted about it. So look at Dallas. Look at Buffalo.
He ends up in Buffalo.
Yeah, I think Dallas or Buffalo. I think Buffalo probably got the leading edge. I think he wants to go play with Von Miller. I just think Buffalo's ready to find something. All right, let's get into some college real quick.
Though, there is a lot of rumors that he might go back to New York.
Why would he go to New York? He wants to get a championship. He can get a damn Super Bowl with New York. What's he going to do over in New York?
Hey, Dable's going to turn that team around.
Oh, no, he doesn't turn it around. But by the time he gets it turned around, they won't need Odell Beckham anymore.
Yeah, but if he went there and helped them win, it would.
Hell, they're already winning. They're just not going to get the Super Bowl.
He has a Super Bowl ring. At least he got a ring.
And you're right. And maybe he says, you know what, one ring is enough. I'll just go to New York and chill until I'm ready to be done. Me personally, hey, don't go to New York. They don't pay you enough to go to New York. You know how much money it costs to live in New York?
I wouldn't go to New York.
No, I wouldn't. Come on now.
Hey, no, I'm saying go to Dallas, no state tax. Hey, what am I talking about? Hey, real quick, these college rankings. We went over this earlier. I'm just going to give you the fast rundown of who's where and where and where. Tennessee's at 1, Ohio's at 2, Georgia's at 3, Clemson's at 4. Really should be 5, in my opinion. And Gonzo, I know he agrees, but for some reason they got Clemson over Michigan, and then you got Alabama at 6, TCU 7, Oregon, USC, LSU, Ole Miss, UCLA, Kansas State University, Utah, Penn State, Illinois, North Carolina, Oklahoma State, Tulane, Syracuse, Wake Forest at 21, NC State, Oregon State, Texas at 24, and UCF at 25. Is it just me, guys? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think out of the 6 teams, only 2 of them are legit. I think Tennessee's legit at number 1, and Clemson is illegit at number 5. Really should be number 4. I think Georgia is soft as hell. I think Ohio is soft as hell. And I think Clemson is soft as hell. Bama at 6, I'm okay with. But I think at the end of the day, because we all talked about Ohio's got to play Michigan at the end of the year. Tennessee plays Georgia. I think Georgia gets knocked out of the top 5, or at least they get slipped down to 4, if not out of the top 5. And I think Ohio at the end of it gets slipped out because I think Michigan. My point is, I think TCU has a really good snapshot chance to get into the top 4, because I think some things are about to get shaken. Logan?
Yeah, obviously we know the big game this weekend, Tennessee, Georgia, is going to be a great matchup, hopefully, right? I mean, I know we build these games up all the time. Half the time they let us down, half the time they surprise us. Hopefully This one works out well. It's going to be a good game. But I am going to give the edge to the Vols on this one because Georgia, they did lose Nolan Smith probably for the rest of the year. Really good guy on their defense. So that's going to hurt them. So it's up to the mailman and the Georgia offense to see what they can do. And as for the rest of the rankings, like you said, they had Tennessee listed number 1 in the college football playoff with Ohio State, with Georgia. I forget the last team. I think Clemson was in there also. I don't know how Clemson's going to look. I just don't trust that offense right now. Ohio State, it just depends on which Ohio State we're going to get. You mentioned TCU. That's a sleeper team, I think, for a lot of people. They look at TCU. They're like, what are these guys doing up here inside the top 10? But yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, they have a good shot. Maybe if things keep going as hectic as they've been this year, with Alabama losing early on the season, they're having to fight their way back. And with the emergence of Tennessee, it makes for a very compelling Week 10 this week, man. I'm excited for it, and I'm glad that it's not just the same handful of teams. I'm glad Tennessee's shaking things up.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Rob, Bama at 6 plays LSU at 10. Does LSU get the upset, or does Bama win?
I think Bama wins, but I think it's going to be a competitive, close game. It's possible LSU could win. I mean, they are at home. It's definitely tough to play there in Baton Rouge, but I got to go with the experience. I got to go with Alabama. When I'm looking at this top 5 here, I would say.
Hold on. Let me ask you a question based on that real quick. You know that Bama struggled mightily to get past A&M and Texas. Matter of fact, they really should have lost, as we know, against Texas. LSU has back-to-back 40-point games plus against SEC opponents. You still don't think that they can beat Bama, or you don't think they can pull off that upset?
They definitely got a chance. I mean, they're at home. You know, they've beaten Alabama before in past years. You know, so I would definitely give them a chance. So I think the game could go either way. I'm not sure what the spread is on the game, but I would definitely give LSU a chance. I mean, they're ranked number 10. They're doing a lot better than they did to start the season. So I definitely would give them a chance.
I definitely agree with you.
Yeah. So
okay.
The crowd's going to be fired up there for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh, that crowd is definitely going to be fired up. Real quick. So
Yep.
Logan, or correction, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna go Logan on this because, well, yeah. Georgia lost their linebacker Smith Jr. Out for the season. What long-term effect does that have on them repeating as champions?
It's going to hurt them. He's obviously a great defender, highly recruited. You know, people were looking at him to maybe go pretty high in the draft if he kept playing the way he's been. And like you said, it's just an anchor in the Georgia defense, and you're going to miss it for the rest of the year. So it's just the next man up mentality, I guess, because we know that, like Alabama, Georgia's got a plethora of amazing kids that maybe we don't even know about that are just waiting for their time on the bench. And we'll see who can step up for this Georgia defense for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Gonzo, I know we talked about this earlier, but I wanted to get your thoughts on camera as well. Clemson, Notre Dame. Again, I had Notre Dame taking out Clemson in the upset there. Just like I said earlier, they're soft as hell, and Notre Dame is coming off some wins against Syracuse and UNLV. So I got them beating Clemson, and I think they get that upset, and Clemson finally slides out of that top 5. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I don't think Clemson should be in the top 4 anyway. But
exactly, or yeah, top 4.
But I think Notre Dame has a chance to pull off the upset. If you look, I know you can't go always by how teams played other teams, but they both played Syracuse here recently, and Syracuse almost beat Clemson, and then Notre Dame took care of Syracuse. I'm not going to say easily, but it wasn't near as close game as the Clemson game was. To me, the key to this game is going to be Notre Dame's offense. If they have to convert in the red zone. Can't settle for field goals. They have to get touchdowns when they get in the red zone, and I think they'd have a shot against Clemson. I think
there's nothing better in this world than to watch the pregame after the national anthem at the World Series. And I don't know who this guy is because I'm not really hip on the rap and hip hop scene. But some dude is just doing some kind of rap game across left field or right field. I have no idea who he is, but it's interesting.
I think
interesting time to be alive.
I think Clemson is highly overrated myself. I think they got that ranking based off what they've done in the past more than what they've done this season, because they play a high strength of schedule. And Big Shot Rob, just to let you know, Alabama is 13-point favorites in that game against LSU.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would imagine they were probably more than. I bet they had more points than that when they were going against Texas. And if viewers doesn't get hurt, I bet you they destroy that money line. But question, Texas. My last question for college, and we'll get out of here. College. Does Texas is going up against number 13 Kansas? Is this a statement game for Texas? Because I don't think they get another ranked game in this. I don't think they play anybody else outside of Kansas that's ranked. Is this their last statement game to improve their position at 20 before we get into next season, which Archie Manning is coming over? Logan, what do you think about that? Is this Kansas or Texas's statement game to end the season?
I think you got to win this one if you want to keep any hopes alive. Just continuing your momentum. If you lose this one, Jay, I just say go ahead and move on the next year. Because you can still maybe compete for for a championship game, but in terms of the college football playoff, it's all but close the book on that one if you lose. But it is going to be interesting because you did mention Arch Manning's coming over. About Quinn Ewers, what's he going to do? Is he going to leave? Is he
absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
I don't think they'll have to worry about that until probably his third year there, because Archie's going to come next year. But like me and Gonzo was saying, I think he gets redshirted and then I think, he comes out his the third year that Ewers is there. Now, Ewers at that point, may decide to go to the transfer portal if Archie gets the call up. So I don't think they'll have to worry about it next year, but definitely the following, he may want to go to transfer portal if he wants to continue getting those starting reps. My last question, Rob, is this. Is TCU underrated? They've played against ranked teams. It's not like they're just getting a cakewalk for that 8-0 record. Are they underrated, and should we take them more seriously?
Yeah, I think they're a little bit underrated. I mean, to be 7, I think they're definitely better than Clemson. I mean, they should be in the top 5, if you ask me. Obviously, Clemson, I guess they would consider them in a more major conference, the ACC. But Yeah, I mean, TCU's played some tough games against some tough teams. I mean, you got to give them credit where credit is due. Like with Clemson, we're just pretty much looking at them in the past. Like this is not one of the better Clemson teams from years past, and they're just getting credit from years past. And obviously, some of the teams they play in ACC aren't so good as far as ranked teams. Usually the SEC, they get more of the top-ranked teams in the top 5 because the competition is just so high in SEC. And, the Big Ten is kind of there too. But I feel whenever SEC Big Ten teams play each other, the SEC will always get the best of the Big Ten, if you ask me. Going back to last year when Georgia played Michigan in the semifinal, I mean, they just totally smashed them. So,
yeah, Logan, would you be happy? I know I'd be happy. Would you be happy if the Final Four, because I think the Final Four, as long as TC wins out in Michigan, I think the Final Four should be Georgia, Michigan, Tennessee, TCU. I'd be happy with that Final Four. I think that would be a strong Final Four.
Yeah, I'd be all for some new teams getting in there, just some new faces. Because the college football playoffs, some like it, some don't, but it's just became a revolving door of here's the 3 teams you can pretty much lock in and maybe a 4th. So I would wholeheartedly welcome TCU, Tennessee, whoever else get in there.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to now get into some final thoughts as the Astros, Altuve just got a double on Syndergaard. No, my bad. Let me repeat myself. He just got a triple off Syndergaard. Let's go, Astros. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll say that. That was my final thought. Logan, final thoughts. God, what a time to be alive.
Like I said, final thoughts. Jay's already in a great mood early on in the game. Glad to be back. And I missed you all. I miss all of you. So glad to be back.
We missed you too, Logan. We missed you too, man. Yeah. Big shot Rob, man. What's up, baby? Final thoughts?
Yeah, man. It's good to see you in a good mood, man. And obviously, good luck to your team tonight. We'll see what happens if they win. And, I definitely wish best of luck. Looking forward to the weekend, obviously, NFL games, college. I think that Tennessee-Georgia game is going to be a real hell of a game, a real fight. I'm interested to see what Tennessee does on the road because they already won one big game at home against Alabama. Now I'm interested to see what they do when they go on the road in a hostile environment like Georgia is and facing the defending national champion. So I'm definitely looking forward to that game. We also got some NBA basketball coming on the way as well. I haven't really been paying attention to much hockey, but NBA has been interesting so far. I would say that's pretty much all I have to say.
Hey, real quick, Astros are up 1-0. Pena got a single, brought Altuve home from third. What a time to be alive. No outs, top of the first. Told you Syndergaard was not the answer.
David said Tennessee wouldn't be in his top 5.
Hey, Tennessee's a –
Hey, Damien, you say Tennessee beat nobody. Tennessee just beat Alabama, who is –
no. God, don't go that – because you're going to go down that rabbit hole, and there's no getting out of it. Just let that one fly over the
– We can't play it. Also, Damien, I'm going to beat you up this week in fantasy.
Logan, you kicked my ass last week in fantasy.
Hey, by the way –
all right, man.
Final thoughts. We know we got the afternoon show. We got Easy Money tomorrow. We got you and Johnaton Mathis at the 11 o'clock. What's your final thoughts, brother?
I'm just hoping we get some good baseball game tonight. Maybe we can get a good NFL Thursday night game for a change, which I doubt because I think the Eagles are just going to thump the Texans.
Yeah. Don't count on that.
But it's just great time to be a sports fan, like we talked about earlier. Just all kinds of stuff on, and college basketball is just right around the corner.
Oh yeah, literally around the corner.
And I got to say real quick. Rest in peace, Gonzo. One of the other guys that helped start my show. Rest in peace to him. He'll be missed.
Absolutely, man. Rest in peace, brother. Rest in peace. And we will be praying for you and your family. All right. Hey, you 3 guys, don't go nowhere yet. I got one thing to ask you. We'll take about 2 seconds, and we get you out the door. For the rest of you, thanks for joining us, and we will be back Saturday Y'all have a good night, man. It's your boy Jay McLovin, Logan Landers, Big Shot Rob, Chris, Gonzo Gonzalez, and let's go Astros. Let's go Astros. What a time to be alive. Altuve, you're my boy.